Lauren, good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me.
We're talking about Sundance, a festival that you've kind of been familiar with because Winter's Bone years ago was at Sundance. Now we're back with Sunfish and other stories from Green Lake. It's cool, right? To like think about that. Like you once had something at that festival. Now we're back. How's that feel for you, so to speak?
Oh, it's crazy. I've been to Sundance many times between Winter's Bone and now just to support other people and friends who've had things, but it's always different when you have something there. It's such a wonderful festival and Park City's just amazing. I am like a person that is definitely like called to the mountains, I would say. Some people are more like to the beach. I'm not so much there. So I love being in the mountains and it's just a great festival. So I'm excited to go back.
In terms of this film, Sunfish, talk a little bit about that script to screen journey, kind of seeing everything, seeing the raw components of it in the screen, in the script, so to speak, and then actually going and filming it. Because I feel like a lot happens in between in terms of the script to screen journey, so to speak.
A whole lot. When I first saw the lookbook for this movie, it was so beautiful already. I knew it was going to be just a really beautiful film. And the director, Sierra Falconer, I kind of just, you could tell she was a visionary, like from the very beginning. And just meeting with her, we met over Zoom and during the audition process, and she was just wonderful. And the team she brought together and the huge ensemble cast. It's a big movie. It's got a lot of incredible people in it. So yeah, just seeing it go, from the script and the lookbook and the pages, and to what it is now, it's pretty wild to see it, but it's great. I'm really excited for everyone to see it.
There's a lot of kind of elements in this film, and there's a lot of themes, and I think a lot of the characters in this, not just your character, there's obviously this self-reflection, soul-searching component, right? Of like, everyday life and finding yourself and taking it one day at a time. And I'm wondering from an acting storyteller perspective, Lauren, do you see that more as like a challenge, or is it more fun to play these characters kind of going through this self-reflection or going through this soul-searching? Because from the viewer perspective, right, they don't know they're lost, right? So it's interesting to like think about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to like just dive into every time you get a new character, it's interesting to just go back and, I always kind of create my own backstory and I might kind of bounce off of the director a little bit and say like, what do you think? Here's what I think. And just, summer messes and following the arc of the characters is always, a really fun process for me. So yeah, I think it's fun personally, but different. Some characters are more fun than others, and I've played some pretty dark characters throughout my career. So this one wasn't so dark.
No,
It was,
it's like a change of pace a little bit, right? It's like different. It's funny to think about that because it's all storytelling at the end of the day. But I'm sure, like, yeah, there's some like scripts you look at, it's like, wow, this is really dark. Like this character is like intense, and then it's like this is like different, from that, like specifically your character. It's like, but it's all storytelling at the end of the day too, right? Like if you think about it like that way.
for sure. And this character is much more like lighter, and like I just read her very bubbly and more just light and sort of kind of refreshing. So I played her that way too. So yeah, it was definitely it's nice when you can play a character like that, because I've done a lot of like drug uh like drug addict characters and things like that, and that's just a darker world. So it was nice to have a little bit of a break from that.
It's interesting too to think about, when you work on a film like this and then people get to kind of see it on a big scale at Sundance. Like I said, I love that in the beginning of the interview, you talked about the fact that like you've been at a big film festival like Sundance from like being in a film that's there, and then you've gone to kind of like support it and everything. Is it still a weird feeling of like that kind of journey and the end goals of making a film like that? Like you make a film, you wrap, you play the waiting game, and then you see what it gets into, right? Like, are you still getting used to it a little bit, or are you like, is it still like kind of a surreal, weird feeling? You know what I mean by that? Like,
Learn to have no expectations. just, go into the job, enjoy it, do the best that you can, but don't have any expectations for where it might go, what festivals it might, if it goes to festivals, or if it just is going to open, in streaming or in theaters. So I try to not have expectations for this one, but there's those jobs that you do where you're just like, this one's special, and that you can just feel that it's going to be a little bit different. And I definitely felt that about this, like from the very beginning. And especially, like I said, meeting with Sierra and just hearing her vision and then working with her. And she's, kind of an actor's director. She knows how to work with actors and talk to actors, and not every director is like that. So
Yeah.
definitely knew it was going to be special. But, Sundance is always just like, super sweet.
Well, it's kind of crazy because it's like Winter's Bone. Like this is like those are two completely different movies, right? If you think about it, right? Like we're talking about Sundance, right? So the range is interesting too.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's always, it's such a competitive festival. And so, it's an honor to be a part of a movie that's in competition there, premiering there.
I feel like the answer to this question is probably you try not to, but I'm wondering if you look at something like Sunfish, that it's so kind of packed with a lot of kind of like we talked about, like human elements and like the self-reflection components and everything. Are you ever conscious of the audience member, like watching a film like Sunfish while you're making it? Because like it has those kind of really like slow burn moments, but those intense moments in between characters, right? That might get a reaction out of someone or people might relate to it. Like, do you ever think about that stuff while you're making it? Or is that something that happens a little bit after you wrap, so to speak?
No, I don't, because you want people to like it, right? And you
Mhm.
want people to be like, have those moments that you think they're going to have. But at the end of the day, at least for me as an artist, what I'm doing is I'm not always trying to please the audience or to, do what I think that they might want. So I don't think about that within the process of making it. I think once you're done, and then, when it's gonna come out, that's when you kind of start thinking like, oh, I wonder like what they'll think about this part, or if that'll be funny, but not during the making of it.
Indie filmmaking is its own beast because it's one of those team sports, collaborative. It can be like, 2:15 p.m. whatever time zone you are, and then like 2:18 p.m. 3 minutes later, things are changing and things might like be different. You know what I mean? Like, so
and then you're like changing in a closet, and then you're like
exactly. No, I'm just saying it's like indie film, and then like things happen. Like do you feel more of like the chaos or more of the community feel with indie film, or is it a little bit of both? Because that's a perfect way of thinking about it. I'm a filmmaker too, right? It's chaotic, but it's very community based.
hey, I love the community. Like
Yeah.
I collaboration, like as an artist, my thing is like I love collaborating. I love just like working with other artists, and like everyone's bringing their best of what they have to the table. But I mean, yeah, there's always chaos, but like I'm someone who I don't know, I kind of like
Me too. I thrive under chaos. Yeah.
like, sometimes you're like, it's sort of like guerrilla style. You're just sort of like, oh no, like we didn't get this permit, or we didn't get this, or this happens and we got to shoot this. Or we got like, I remember I was doing a movie and they were like, we have literally one take for this. Like, that's it. You have to nail it. So you're like, the pressure is kind of, I don't know, you kind of like the pressure in that situation. But yeah, I like the chaos, and the collaboration is definitely my favorite part.
I'm so excited for you and the team that the film is going to be at Sundance. It's going to also be available online during the festival as well. But like, are you going to the festival? Are you going to Sundance? Are you there right now?
No, I'm going tomorrow. So
okay,
like,
I was about to say, because it's like I have a lot of other filmmaker friends that like they're going tomorrow, or like they're on their way now. So I was like, oh my god, like the festival's this week. Like,
so I'm going tomorrow, and it'll also be the first time that we're flying with my 7-month-old. So like today is just crazy. We're trying to get everything together to like.
well, thank you for taking some time before for the craziness. I really appreciate that.
I was running around like crazy, like right before I got here, trying to grab a water and like take a sip. But yeah. So
And then
anyway,
two quick questions for a wrap up. One, I mean, we'll do the first one. I was gonna do like an A and B, but then it would be like it would be so long. But it was just we'll do the first question first. I mean, I don't want to give much away, right, about the film because I feel like a film like this is just go in fresh. You know what I mean, and just watch it. What can you tell us though is something you really enjoyed about the storyline of this film? Maybe not your character, because everyone always says, like, tell me about your character, but about overall the storyline. Like, what's something you enjoyed that can kind of, while you answer that, tell us a little bit about the film? It's like a twofold.
love that this is a like 4-part anthology. So it's one film, but it's really 4 different stories that all sort of mesh into one film. And I think that's really unique and really cool, and how we get to see, all of the residents around Green Lake and how they're connected, and how Sierra really explores that through it, I think is really beautiful and amazing. And I think the audience will really love that too.
And then very quickly, no matter whether you've been on set one time or 100 times, there's always going to be learning experiences from a storytelling perspective that you'll be able to take to future projects. On Sunfish, was there anything specifically that was like new or different or like cool that you experienced that you could take for future projects specifically?
I think it was just a really beautiful setting, like around the Green Lake, and Traverse City is amazing. That's where we stayed, and so I don't know if that's anything specific, but right when you said it, I was like, it was so beautiful, and so yeah, I shoot in beautiful locations because your cast and crew will really enjoy that. I don't know.
Absolutely. And your film's gonna be available. The film's gonna be available at Sundance. People can check that out. Lauren, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Your Instagram account is just your name, right? If people want to keep update with everything.
What'd you say?
Is it just your name, your Instagram account, if people want to keep update?
Instagram account is How Sweetser It Is. I had a girlfriend recently tell me that it looks like How Sweetseritis. It's not. It's How Sweetser It Is. But yeah, so
It's a pun.
right? Okay.
Your Instagram handle is a pun because your last name is Sweetser.
There you go. So
well, this has been PopTurd. YouTube.com/PopTurd for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Lauren Sweetser and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to PopTurnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of PopTurnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.